Hello ladies and gentlemen, this video is a little different than my usual content. It'll still be educational, but it's less of a how-to guide and more of a discussion about the philosophy of crafting and just how it relates to your time, your currency, your enjoyment of the game, and the decisions you make along the way. After my last couple of videos, I realized that the math tends to scare a lot of people away. I always try to explain it as simply as I can, but I know I'm not the best teacher and a lot of people hate numbers. So for this video, I'm going to keep the math to a minimum. Instead, we're going to focus on ideas that anyone can follow using a bit of common sense. I do want to mention that a lot of things I say in this video are ultimately my opinion. That doesn't make it right or wrong. It's simply my perspective on crafting and the game as a whole. You're entitled to your own thoughts, and feel free to leave them in the comments. Just keep it civil. Like and subscribe if you like the content, and strap in for the TED Talk, so let's dive into it. Crafting is a huge part of Path of Exile 2, but there are plenty of ways to make currency without crafting. Actually, rewind that. I'm already getting ahead of myself. Path of Exile 2 requires one thing above everything else: time. And in my eyes, time is the most valuable resource there is. I'm not just talking about divines and mirrors, I mean in general. You could be spending it with your family, watching football, smoking a doobie, doing literally anything else. How you spend your time is entirely up to you. We choose to play Path of Exile 2 because we enjoy it. It's fun to make a cool build and blow shit up, blast through maps, and let's be honest, those divine orb drops hit different. That tink noise, whew, that constant dopamine hit is unmatched. Which brings me to the first topic I want to talk about: how you spend your time in-game. One of the best things about the 0.5 patch is that there are so many different ways to make currency in the end game, but a lot of players see someone sitting on, maybe 2,000, 3,000 divines and immediately think, well, I gotta craft. That's the only way to get that rich. I'm here to tell you that that's simply not true. And yes, I'm saying that as someone who crafts. Crafting is an incredible way to make currency, and I've shown plenty of profitable crafting methods on this channel, but it is absolutely not a requirement if your goal is to become wealthy. I think one of the biggest reasons people believe crafting is mandatory is because from the outside looking in, it looks easy. You watch someone sit in their hideout, click a few buttons, and suddenly they're swimming in divines. I've got 3,000 already. Meanwhile, you're out grinding maps thinking, I can't compete with that. I've only gotten 1 divine in 5 maps. I can't do that no matter how much I play. If that's your mindset, you're looking at it the wrong way. Let me explain it a different way. Why do we craft? To make currency. Why do we make currency? To buy stronger gear and cool shit for our builds. What does that cool shit we bought do? Kill the exact same monsters everyone else is killing. At the end of the day, you're fighting AI. This isn't Valorant where you're trying to outplay me in a ranked match. There's no leaderboard handing you a fucking trophy and giving you the next best Apex Predator or Masters or whatever because your build cost 5,000 divines while mine cost 20. There are tons of builds that can clear basically all of the game's content on a budget of 15 divines or less. But this guide says I need this item, this streamer uses this item, my build doesn't work without 1,000 divines because this is the guide I'm following, so I guess I have to craft. No, you don't. Play a budget build until you can afford the expensive one. I promise there are insanely strong builds waiting to be discovered using items that are essentially worthless simply because nobody has figured them out yet. The meta constantly changes with build creators finding their own things, and you could be the next person if you try to find it. Take Rakiata's Flow as an example though. It's one of the strongest and most popular lineage gems in the game, so naturally it's expensive. But what's stopping you from using a Beacon of Aziz amulet instead? Sure, you give up a rare amulet and you miss out on those plus level of skills, but you still gain spirit and get a budget version of Rakiata's for an exalted orb. You didn't have to pay the 150 divines for it. I'm pretty sure that's a trade-off worth considering. The point is, opportunity cost, and you don't have to craft your way into expensive builds. Play a solid budget build, farm content efficiently, upgrade over time. Eventually, you'll have enough currency for those dream items like Temporalis. Now, I already know what some of you are thinking. Yeah, but that'll take me a month. I could literally make that much crafting in 2 days. Maybe. But if it were really that easy, you probably wouldn't be watching the next best crafting method to make quick currency. And if you only have a couple of hours each week to play, you also have to accept that you're probably not going to own every chase item in the game. That's okay. Games like Path of Exile are built around long-term goals. Those super rare items exist to keep us chasing the next upgrade. That's what keeps people logging in day after day. GGG wants you to keep playing. Every game developer wants you to keep playing. That's how they make money. We're all chasing that next dopamine hit. We're basically coke addicts, you just haven't accepted it yet. I'm saying this as a person who has played Destiny 2 constantly and has a few thousand hours on the game, so I know what it feels like for a game to become a job and where you have to log in to do tasks in order to become successful. I applaud GGG because this doesn't feel like that, and they're probably the best developer I've ever played for, but that's in a discussion of itself. Ultimately, your time is valuable, so spend it how you want. If you don't want to craft, then don't craft, which leads me to my next point. Is crafting actually fun for you? Let's say you spend 2 hours crafting 3 amulets. Was it really worth it? Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. In those same 2 hours, you could have been blasting maps, farming bosses, running trials, whatever, and making consistent currency. Crafting isn't guaranteed. You can complete a craft and that shit does not sell, or it sells at a loss for what it costs you, and that's not even including the time you invested. I know for damn sure that whenever I run a map, kill a pinnacle boss, farm trials, or whatever, and I'm actually clearing content, I'm walking away with something.
I'm leaving here with something. You know what I mean? I'm from around the way. I'm leaving with something.
Maybe it's not a jackpot every time, but I'm almost always making progress. Now, your bankroll absolutely matters in terms of affording different things like farming methods, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But if crafting isn't enjoyable for you, don't force yourself to do it. For me personally, I do it in moderation and typically craft stuff for my own build and sell stuff while I'm crafting what I need. The Runes of Alder League hasn't seen me crafting nearly as much because honestly, I find it kind of boring. Chaos spamming just feels fucking awful. Fracture an item, throw chaos orbs at it, and pray you hit you what you want and repeat. Also, you're lying to yourself if you haven't accidentally chaos orbed off the modifier you were looking for. God knows how many times I accidentally misclicked off a +3 skills mod on the amulet unintentionally. I still enjoy crafting, but I do it in moderation because every minute I'm sitting in my hideout is a minute I'm not in a map killing monsters. I've said it before and I'll say it again. You never know. The next rare monster you kill could drop a Mirror of Kalandra. Probably not, but if you're standing in your hideout chaos spamming your net worth away, you're definitely never going to find out. I think part of me disliking aspects of crafting this league is because GGG removed a lot of stuff. At least before, you kind of had a way to think to make certain items. Of course, some of those deterministic items like homogenizing were way too OP. But now, everything is pretty much the same. Having said all of that, hitting fractures still feels good as hell. And completing a craft for an item you know is worth a lot is a great feeling. Logging on after being offline for a couple days to hundreds of divines puts me in a great mood as well. I log in and literally think, oh yeah, time to make some upgrades, time to make a new build, let's get to it, baby. Let's have some fun. And that may seem sad to some of you, but hey, I'm being honest. The next point of discussion is crafting takes knowledge, and for simplicity's sake, we will call it skill for ease of understanding. A player's skill level absolutely matters because experienced players know what items are valuable, what builds are popular, and what people are going to want at different stages of the league. The more experience you have, the more efficient you become. That's true for farming, and it's just as true for crafting. An experienced player knows when it's time to farm Breach, when it's time to farm Ritual, when it's time to boss, and when it's time to pivot into something else. Crafting works exactly the same way. It might not seem obvious, but your crafting success is directly tied to your experience. Knowing what to craft, when to craft it, and who is going to buy it is far more important than simply knowing how to click the currency on that item. It all comes back to efficiency. For example, if the league started 3 days ago and you're trying to craft a mirror tier spear, you're probably going to lose all your currency. There simply isn't enough demand or enough currency in the economy yet. But an experienced crafter knows that early league is the perfect time to abuse things like Omen of Putrefaction to make items people actually need during progression. That's where the money is at that point in time in the league. However, Omen of Putrefaction about this time in the league 2 months in isn't really worth doing. Crafting is just like leveling a character from 1 to 100. The more knowledge you gain, the better your decisions become. The better your decisions become, the more currency you'll make regardless of whether it's day 3 of the league or 2 months in. With all of that being said, if you're just starting to craft and lose all your currency, that's okay. You are learning, and like everyone else, you will learn from your mistakes and become a better crafter. Every person you watch that has a mirror 1 week into the league was not like that when they first started playing Path of Exile. They've been playing the game for years on PoE 1 and have figured out all the ins and outs to be able to attain that level of wealth so early. And does that level of wealth really matter? Kind of circling back to my point about time and your build, look at SSF players. SSF players complete everything with the shit they find on the ground and have to use the currency for its actual intention. I know there's a few of you watching that have probably never even used your divine orbs. That shit is sitting in the stash tab like a dragon's lair, hoarding it for no reason. Don't get me wrong, I fall victim to stacking divines in a stash tab like World War III is about to start tomorrow too, but most of the time I try to spend it as I get it, which is what you should be doing. Some of you are probably thinking or saying, that's easy for you to say, my net worth is only 5 divines. Honestly, it doesn't matter. Now, let me explain. One of the biggest mistakes newer players make at league start is hoarding currency because they're saving up for that one expensive item. They sit on 1 or 2 divines, waiting until they can afford the perfect upgrade. This is a huge mistake most of the time. Spend your currency immediately improving your build. A stronger character clears content faster. Clearing content faster means more currency. It's really that simple. On top of that, those upgrades often increase in value as the league progresses. Take Rakiata's Flow again as an example. Early league, it might cost 10 to 20 divines, but as more currency enters the economy and more players want one, the price climbs. If you had enough currency to buy it but decided to wait because you wanted multiple upgrades at once, congratulations, you just made your future self pay extra. If you had bought it immediately, not only would your build have been stronger sooner, but your investment probably would have appreciated in value as well. Now, there are exceptions. Maybe you started the league late, or maybe you only reach endgame after everyone else. Market conditions are different in those situations. For example, if you just got to endgame yesterday, you're going to be able to get really strong power upgrades in comparison to someone who was at league start because there's just so many items already in the market. But the general principle still holds. Currency exists to be spent. If you're in trade league, spend it. If you're in SSF, use it. Try it, and you might actually have more fun. I think that's also part of the problem too with divines is there's just not enough divine dumps currently in PoE 2, so that leads to an excessive amount on the market. I think with the 1.0 release, GGG will start to address this a little bit more with maybe some more chase items. We've got Mage Blood, but I don't think that's nearly enough yet, but we'll see as time progresses. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is Bankroll.
Money, 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 money.
Your bankroll, meaning how much currency you actually have, determines what kind of strategies you can realistically pursue. You can absolutely play however you want. Nothing I've said changes that. If you want to farm expedition, farm expedition. If you want to farm ritual, farm ritual. You can make currency farming anything, however and whenever you want, but some strategies simply require enough currency to survive variance. For example, imagine you just reached endgame yesterday, 2 months into the league. You probably shouldn't dump every divine you own into repeatedly fighting Zesht. Could you? Sure. But if you only have enough currency for a handful of attempts and don't hit one of those valuable lineage gems, you've just gone broke. Now, compare that to someone with 2,000 divines. They can run Zesht hundreds of times. Eventually, the law of averages starts working in their favor because they have the bankroll to ride out the bad luck. The same idea applies to farming something like Adorned. Running Trial Master over and over ain't cheap. You need enough currency to keep going until that big drop finally happens. But once it does, you're in the green. Crafting is no different. If you're crafting on a 50 divine amulet with only 80 divines to your name, your bankroll simply isn't large enough to absorb the variance. Missing 4 fracture attempts in a row isn't impossible. It's expected to happen eventually. And if that wipes out your entire net worth, you weren't really in a position to make that craft in the first place. Now, does that mean you should never take risks? Absolutely not. Go ahead and try that crafting method that promises mirror tier profits if you want. Just be honest with yourself. If you don't have the bankroll to survive the misses, you have to be okay with losing everything you put into it. I've lost hundreds of divines multiple times this league alone. It sucks. Probably the worst one was accidentally listing a triple rarity ring with perfect tier 1 modifiers for 1 divine. Yeah, that hurt. It wasn't fun. But I got over it, wasn't really too worried about it because I knew I'd make it back. If you're the type of player who believes you'll never recover from a big loss or make thousands of divines, I'm probably not going to change your mind today. In short, bankroll does matter, but look at it a different way. It's a way to let you experience and enjoy all of the different aspects of the games. Start on a budget and farm, or start on a budget crafting and work your way up. You'll find so many cool things in the game, you'll find what you like most, which is the whole point of playing, to have fun. To sum up the video in a few words, time is the ultimate commodity. Spend it how you want in-game and in real life. To that extent, is crafting enjoyable to you? If it's not, why waste your time trying to profit craft? Go profit farm. It's just as viable once you get efficient enough. Additionally, crafting takes knowledge, and you will lose currency while learning, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. The more knowledge you have, the better crafter you will be, making you more currency in the next league, and this is true for multiple aspects of the game. And lastly, bankroll matters on what you're trying to do. The more you have, the higher risks you can take. If you want to do higher costly crafts when you don't have enough to cover the variance and expected losses, you need to be okay with losing that currency. I don't want to take up any more of your time as this lecture has already gone for far too long. I know this video was a little different from my usual content, and honestly, it'll probably get fewer views than a guide or a crafting video, but even if a handful of people come away looking at the game a little differently, or just stop feeling like they have to craft to be successful, then I think it was worth making. If you enjoyed this style of video, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts, even if you completely disagree with me. As always, like and subscribe. I hope you learned something. Take it easy, Exiles.